Capitol Hill is bustling with ICT hot topics coming from virtually every direction. Today's panel will cover all the angles. That starts right now. And Capitol Hill is getting aggressive on spectrum, cybersecurity, and the public safety network. And it doesn't stop there. Coming off the heels of yesterday's FCC open meeting, today's live show will cover the latest from inside the Beltway. In our studio is Gautham Nagesh, the editor of the Technology Executive Briefing at Congressional Quarterly. And also on the show is Boliek, a technology reporter at Politico Pro. And gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Good to be here.
Thanks for having me.
Gautham, thanks for being here. It's your first time, and if Brooks, you took off the hat a little early, but you could have kept it on.
You know, I just wanted to be polite. But some people don't recognize me without the hat, so I do have hair. It's gray, but it's there.
It's a good head of hair.
Thank you. So is yours.
Thank you very much.
We got the hair lobby covered.
We do. It's three handsome gentlemen, if I don't say so myself. Okay, let's get into it. FCC open meeting just yesterday morning. We have a couple sound bites from that meeting, some opposing views, one from FCC Commissioner Robert McDowell, the other one from FCC Commissioner Minion Clyburn. Let's go ahead to my director and post those sound bites. We'll come right back with our panelists.
For disrupting this fruitful environment with new government mandates, all stakeholders, including industry and consumers, should work as hard as they can to produce a private sector solution. An independently created interoperability framework stands far better chance of success than would a top-down government regulation.
I understand the interest in giving the industry some time to arrive at a voluntary solution. I agree that, generally speaking, such an approach can offer a market greater flexibility to respond to evolving consumer needs and fast-paced technological developments. But the industry has already had more than 4 years to find a solution.
Now, gentlemen, of course, they're talking about the interoperability of the lower 700 megahertz band. This is an issue that's been going on for quite some time. And before we go to our set of questions here, I want to read a quote from Julius Janikowski, of course, that's the FCC chairman. He says, "We'd prefer to see a private industry-led solution, but we all believe that the appropriate thing today was to act to launch this proceeding because an industry-led solution hasn't yet arrived." Gautham, give me an overview of what we're talking about right now, and also what does this quote mean from the chairman?
Well, it sounds like, well, to start, we're talking about the 700 megahertz band of spectrum, and the issue is whether or not devices bought by consumers, like smartphones and tablets, can be used when they leave their carrier. Right now, it's common practice when you leave certain carriers, or most carriers really, the technology is not compatible. So you have to buy a new phone, you have to buy a new smartphone. That's a huge cost to consumers, and those phones are often subsidized by the carrier, so that they have an incentive to have you purchase a new phone when you sign up for their service. What we're talking about with these lawmakers, with the FCC, is requiring interoperability so the devices would have to work across the different frequencies in the 700 megahertz band. There have been reports that the different carriers, whether it be Verizon, AT&T, or whoever, have requested device makers like Apple specifically make the devices so they can't work across different carriers. That obviously raises concern. Some people, like Commissioner Clyburn, feel like it's in the consumer's interest to be able to take their device with them when they leave a carrier. So the issue here is whether or not industry is willing to take action without rulemaking by the FCC. What we saw is a very preliminary step where the FCC is essentially going to open it up for input from the stakeholders, and it's also a threat in some ways that if the industry doesn't respond to this request, they could very well make it a regulation.